The studio is in absolute silence. 2024, the most watched talk show in the United States. Michael Jordan, 61 years old, sitting comfortably in the chair. But there is something different today. Tension in the air that nobody can name. The interviewer, James Wilson, a veteran who has already spoken with hundreds of athletes, feels that something important is about to happen. Michael, we need to talk about Steph Curry. Jordan does not look away. There is no usual diplomatic smile. Yes, we do. You have already said in previous interviews that modern players would not survive in your era. And whenever they talk about Curry, your name appears in the comparison. So let me ask directly, would Steph Curry survive in the 1990s? The silence that follows is electric. Cameras focused. Audience holding their breath. Because this is the question. The defining generational tension. The debate that divides basketball fans for years. Jordan breathes deeply. Before I answer that, he stops, choosing words carefully. I need to tell a story that I kept for 5 years. And what I am going to say will surprise many people, maybe even Steph. James leans forward. This was not in the script. Because the truth, Jordan continues, is that I was completely wrong about Steph Curry. And I need to correct that. Publicly. Today. Sometimes it takes us years to recognize that we were wrong about someone. But to understand the weight of this confession, this radical change, we need to go back. Go back to years of unspoken tension, to whispered criticism, to a generational conflict that Jordan helped create, and to the private moment that changed everything. For years, the relationship between Michael Jordan and Steph Curry was complicated, not hostile, but definitely not warm. It was professional respect with layers of unresolved tension. And the media loved to exploit that. Every interview with Jordan eventually reached the same question. What do you think about modern basketball? And Jordan, being Jordan, never lied. It is different, more soft, less physical. I do not know if it would be so exciting. Nobody needed to ask specifically about Curry. The implications were clear. The player who revolutionized the game with three-point shots, who fundamentally changed how basketball was played, who had a normal physique but supernatural ability. He was the poster boy for modern basketball. For the basketball that Jordan seemed to criticize. And then came the more direct comments. 2016. Casual interview. Question about whether the Bulls team of '96 would beat the Warriors of 73 victories. Jordan smiled. We would win easily. It would not even be fair. The internet exploded. Curry fans furious. Jordan fans validated. The debate reached epic proportions. And, at the center, two men who represented completely different eras. Steph Curry was always respectful in his responses. Michael is the greatest. I will not discuss that. I played in a different time. He played in his. We both did our best. But those close to Curry knew. The criticism hurt, not because it came from random fans, but because it came from someone Curry deeply admired. To be invalidated by your idol? That cuts deep. You can feel that there is a special kind of pain when someone you respect does not respect you back. Years passed. The narrative solidified. Jordan represented real basketball, physical, difficult, tough. Curry represented modern basketball, skillful, spatial, soft. They were opposites in a cultural war that transcended sport. And Jordan, consciously or not, fed into this. Comments about my era was more difficult, about defenses were real, about how nowadays anyone scores 40 points. Each comment was a stake in the heart of modern players, especially Curry, because he was the symbol. The maximum representation of everything Jordan seemed to despise. But there was something nobody knew, something Jordan hid, a truth about how he really saw Curry, and a private moment that would change everything. February of 2019. All-Star Game in Charlotte. Jordan's city, his territory. The event was a homecoming party for him. But that night, Jordan did something that nobody knew. Until now. He called Steph Curry. Personally, not through assistance. Jordan's number appearing on Curry's phone. "Steph, this is Michael Jordan." Curry, shocked, could barely respond. "Hi, Michael. How can I help?" "I want to talk. Dinner. Private. Just us two. Can it be tomorrow?" Curry hesitated. Not because he did not want to, but because of confusion. Why would Jordan, who always seemed critical, be inviting him to a private dinner? "Of course. I would love that." "Good. I will send the address. Come alone. Without your team, without assistance, just honest conversation." The next night, Curry arrived at the private restaurant. Small, Italian, completely closed to the public. Just one table, two men, and a conversation that would change both of their perspectives forever. Jordan was already there when Curry entered. He stood up, firm handshake. But there was something in Jordan's eyes, intensity that Curry did not expect. "Thank you for coming." Jordan gestured to the chair. "I know it was a surprise, the invitation." "It was, but I appreciate it." Curry sat, nervous in a way he never got before games. "Can I ask why?" Jordan smiled, but it was not a comfortable smile. It was the smile of someone about to do something difficult. "Because I need to know you. For real. Not through the media. Not through highlights. I want to know who you are." "Okay." Curry did not know where this was going. The dinner began. Superficial conversation, family, children, life after basketball for Jordan, continuing career for Curry. But there was an elephant in the room that both avoided, until Jordan decided to confront it. "You know what I think," Jordan said suddenly, tone changing. "About your game, about modern basketball. The media makes it clear." Curry stopped eating. Moment of truth arriving. "And I know what you must think of me," Jordan continued, "that I am a dinosaur stuck in the past, that I cannot accept that the game has evolved." "I never said that." "You did not need to." Jordan leaned forward. "But here is why I called you. Because I need to be honest. With you. And with myself. How much pride prevents us from recognizing greatness different from our own? I criticized you, Steph. Not always publicly, but in private conversations. In thoughts. I would look at your game and think, this is not real basketball. This is a three-point trick. It would not last in my era." Curry listened in silence, painful to hear confirmation of what he always suspected. "But then, something changed," Jordan said. "I started to really watch, not just highlights, full games, and I realized something." "What?" "That I was not criticizing you because you were bad. I was criticizing you because you were different. And difference threatened me." The raw honesty left Curry speechless. "You revolutionized the game, Steph, in a way that I never did. I dominated within an existing system. I was the better version of what already existed. But you changed the system. You made the impossible become normal. And that—" Jordan stopped. "That scared me." "Why would it scare you?" "Because it meant that my way was not the only way. And I built my entire identity on being the way, the standard. And you showed that there is another way. Equally valid, maybe more creative. Curry did not expect this vulnerability. Not from Jordan. Not from the man who always projected unwavering confidence. Michael, I never wanted to compete with your legacy. I wanted to honor it. But in my way. I know. And that is what shames me. Because you never did anything but respect what came before. But I did not give you the same respect. The silence that followed was heavy, but not uncomfortable. It was the silence of two people finally being honest. "Can I tell you something?" Curry finally said. "Something I have never said publicly?" "Please." "Your criticism destroyed me, not because it came from fans or media, but because it came from you, from the guy I idolized growing up. Knowing that you did not see me as valid, that made me question everything." Jordan closed his eyes, pain visible. "Steph, I am sorry. You do not need to apologize." "I do." Jordan opened his eyes, determination there. "Because I was wrong, completely wrong, and you deserve to hear that from me directly. Not through third parties, not implicitly, but directly. I was wrong. Greatness does not compete with greatness. It recognizes it." Curry felt something changing. Years of doubt, of questioning, of feeling that he needed to prove his worth to the previous era, beginning to dissolve. "Do you know what the difference between us is?" Curry asked, voice firmer now. "What?" "You played as if you had something to prove. I play because I have nothing to prove. I just want to play. I just want to create. And maybe that seems less tough, but it is my truth." Jordan nodded slowly. "And that is what makes you special. You have a freedom that I never had. I only have this freedom because you opened doors. You carried the weight. I just passed through them differently." "Not just different," Jordan corrected. "Better in some ways, worse in others, but equally valid. And that is what took me too long to accept." They talked for 3 more hours, about the game, about pressure, about legacy. And when Curry left that restaurant, he was no longer the player insecure about the validation of the previous era. And Jordan was no longer the critic stuck in the past, but nobody knew. It was kept private for 5 years, until now. Back at the talk show in 2024, Jordan continues telling the story. James Wilson and the EEGI audience completely absorbed. "After that dinner, I saw Curry completely differently," Jordan explains. "But I never spoke publicly, because, honestly, pride. I did not want to admit I was wrong. I did not want it to seem like weakness." "What changed?" James asks. "Weeks ago, Warriors lost in the playoffs, and I watched the destruction that came after. Media, fans, everyone assassinating him, saying he was overrated, that he was never really great. And I recognized the criticism, because they were the same ones I made years ago." Jordan stops, genuine emotion. "And I realized I helped create that narrative. My criticism gave permission for others to criticize. And now, seeing him be destroyed, it made me feel sick, because I know the truth. I know who he really is. And staying silent? That would be cowardice. So you are here to correct the record." Jordan looks directly at the camera. "Steph Curry is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Period. And anyone who says otherwise, including myself from a few years ago, does not understand basketball." The statement falls like a bomb, because Jordan does not make statements like this lightly. When he says one of the greatest, he means it. "Let me be specific," Jordan continues. Because I know people are going to say, oh, he is being polite. No, I am being honest. Maybe honest for the first time about this. He raises one finger. First, people say Curry would not survive in my era, that defenses were too tough, that he would be destroyed physically. And you think? Absolute bullshit, Jordan answers without hesitation. Curry would have averaged 40 points in my era. You know why? Because there was no zone defense. He would have had even more space to create, more isolation, and with allowed physicality, he would go to the free throw line 15 times per game. It is impossible not to feel when someone defends another with genuine conviction. People forget. Curry is not fragile. He took hits that would break tough players and never complained. I have watched. I have studied. This guy has mental and physical resilience that most do not even dream of. Jordan raises a second finger. Second, people say his basketball is soft, that it is just shots, that it has no substance. And you respond? That those people understand nothing. Jordan almost laughs at the absurdity. Curry did not revolutionize the game by being soft. He revolutionized by being brilliant. He saw something that nobody saw, that 3 points are worth more than 2. It seems obvious now, but nobody explored it like he did. That is just smart mathematics. No, Jordan interrupts. It is not just mathematics. It is courage. Courage to play differently when everyone says you are wrong. Courage to shoot from distances that coaches call terrible shots. And do it consistently for years? That is not luck. That is genius. Jordan raises a third finger. Third, people compare our styles as if one was superior. As if my way of playing was real and his was modern. As if modern was worse. You do not agree? Of course not. Jordan shakes his head. They are just different. I killed opponents with intensity. He kills with unpredictability. I dominated physically. He dominates spatially. I intimidated. He confuses. There is no better, just different. True greatness has the courage to say, I was wrong. And you know what impresses me most? Jordan continues, voice becoming softer. Curry did something I never could. He revolutionized the sport without violence, without intimidation, without making opponents hate you. He kills them with joy, with a smile, and they respect you for that. Would you have liked to play like that? Jordan hesitates. Rare vulnerability. Part of me? Yes. Because I carried so much hate, so much anger. It worked for me. It made me great. But it also consumed me in ways that I am only beginning to process now. And seeing Curry be great, without that burden? It is liberating to watch. Did you talk to him? Since you decided to make this statement? I called last week. Said I was going to speak publicly. He said I did not need to. Typical him. But I said, not for you. For me. I need to correct something I helped create. And what did he say? Jordan smiles. First genuine time in the interview. He laughed and said, Michael, you have nothing to prove to me, or to anyone. And you know? That response is exactly why he is who he is. Zero ego. Zero need for validation. Just love for the game. But you feel you need to say this. Absolutely. Because silence is complicity. I stayed silent while an unfair narrative was built. A narrative that I helped create. And now? Now I will spend the time I have left correcting that. James leans forward. So, for the record, where do you place Steph Curry on the list of all-time greats? Jordan does not hesitate. Top 10. Easy. Maybe top 5, depending on how you value impact. Versus individual achievements. But definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the greatest who ever played. Even compared to you? Does not compare to me, Jordan says firmly. Not because he is not good enough, but because we are incomparable. Different positions, different eras, different styles, different talents. But equally impactful? Yes. Equally revolutionary? Absolutely. How much respect do you have to elevate someone to your level without diminishing yourself? There is something else I want to say. Jordan looks directly at the camera again. Steph, if you are watching, I am sorry for taking so long to say this publicly, for allowing my insecurities to create an unfair narrative, for not having defended you when I should have. Genuine emotion in Jordan's voice now. You are great, not in my way, in your way, and you always were enough. Actually, it is more than enough. It is perfect. And anyone who questions your greatness is going to have to go through me first from now on. The studio explodes in applause, because this is not just defense. It is complete validation. It is Jordan using his voice, his legacy, his weight to elevate another. And for fans who are going to be angry with me, Jordan continues as applause diminishes. Who are going to say I am betraying my era, that I am being soft? Let me say this. Growing is not betrayal. Admitting error is not weakness. It is the opposite. It is the strongest thing you can do. This is one of the most powerful statements I have ever heard from you. James says honestly, because it is one of the most important. Jordan responds, legacy is not just what you conquer. It is how you treat those who come after. And I treated Steph unfairly, publicly. And now I need to correct that, publicly. The interview continues for 30 more minutes. But the damage, or rather, the healing, has already been done. Jordan spoke. Jordan defended. And the world would never see Curry the same way. Again. The interview clip goes viral instantly. Within 2 hours, 10 million views. Within 12 hours, 50 million. Headlines everywhere. Michael Jordan defends Steph Curry, one of the greatest of all time. Jordan admits he was wrong about Curry. I let my insecurities create an unfair narrative. The defense nobody expected. Jordan puts Curry in top 10 of all time. The internet debate explodes. But something different is happening. Instead of Jordan fans versus Curry fans, there is unity, mutual respect. Because when the GOAT validates you, who is going to argue? Steph Curry is at home when he watches, alone. Isha is with the children. He plays the clip. And as he hears Jordan speak, defend, validate, he cries. Not from sadness, from liberation. From years of feeling that he needed to prove his worth to the previous generation finally dissolving. He picks up the phone, calls Jordan, not through assistance, direct. Michael. Steph, you saw. I did. Curry stops, emotion-locking words. Thank you. You do not need to thank me. I should have done it years ago. No, you did it at the right moment, when I really needed to hear it. They talk for 2 hours. Details remain private, but both leave the conversation transformed. No longer icons of opposing eras, but allies, friends, two men who finally found peace in mutual respect. Days later, at a charity game in Chicago, the first public appearance of both after the defense. The arena is electric. Everyone knows what happened. Everyone wants to see the interaction. When Steph enters the court, Jordan is already there. Warming up, he sees Curry, stops, walks directly to him. And in the center of the court, in front of 20,000 people and live cameras, Jordan hugs Curry. Not performative handshake. A hug for 30 seconds. Real. Deep. Whispers between them that cameras do not capture. Jordan, you are great. Never doubt that. Curry, thank you for reminding me. Jordan, thank you for teaching me humility. The image goes viral more than the interview, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. And this image said, respect, validation, unity. Weeks later, a surprise announcement. Jordan and Curry in a joint press conference. New project. Institute for Young Players. Not commercial. Non-profit. Mission. To teach that there are multiple paths to greatness. We represent different styles, Jordan explains. Different eras. Different approaches. But the lesson is the same. Be authentically you. Do not try to be me. Do not try to be Steph. Be the best version of you. And there is room for all styles, Curry adds. You can be physical like Michael, or skillful like me, or something completely different that nobody has imagined yet. All are valid. The only mistake, Jordan continues, is trying to be someone you are not. As I learned from Steph, your path is your power. The impact transcends basketball. Other sports legends begin to speak. LeBron James posts an emotional tribute. Seeing Jordan and Curry together like this gives me hope. Hope that we can honor the past while celebrating the present. Magic Johnson, always diplomatic, goes further. Michael just did something that all of us should do. Grow publicly. Admit error. Elevate the next generation, instead of diminishing it. Even Kobe Bryant, in an interview before his tragic death, had said something prophetic. One day, Michael is going to publicly recognize Curry, and when he does, he is going to change the conversation forever. Because when the GOAT speaks, the world listens. And he was right. The greatest legacy is not proving you were right. It is admitting when you were wrong and growing. Months pass. The narrative around Curry changes completely. Not anymore good, but not great. Now, revolutionary and validated by the greatest of all time. Young players begin to cite Curry without shame, without the clause, but he is not Jordan. Just, Curry is great. Period. And when criticism appears, because it always does, there is a new group of defenders, Jordan fans who now defend Curry. Because if Jordan says he is great, who are they to disagree? 1 year after the defense, Curry is in an interview promoting a new project. Journalist Sarah Mitchell asks the inevitable question. Steph, how has Michael Jordan's defense changed your life? Curry thinks. Really thinks. It gave me something that money cannot buy. Validation from someone you admire. But more than that, it taught me an important lesson. Which? That true leaders admit when they are wrong. That growth has no age. That it is never late to correct a narrative. And that the greatest gift you can give someone is not praise. It is freedom. Freedom to be who they are without fear of judgment. Did Michael give you that freedom? He gave me permission. Permission to stop trying to prove that my way was valid. Because the GOAT said it was. And that changed everything. Do you talk to him regularly now? Curry smiles. That stays between us. But yes. And I learn something every time. Not about basketball, about life, about legacy, about how to be great in a way that elevates others instead of diminishing them. What do you want people to take away from this whole story? Curry looks directly at the camera. That it is never late to change, to grow, to admit error. Michael Jordan, the most competitive man who ever lived, publicly admitted he was wrong. If he can do it, anyone can. He pauses. And for young players, do not try to be Michael. Do not try to be me. Discover who you are and be that completely. Because greatness has infinite forms, and all are valid. Years later, in a documentary about basketball legacies, there is an entire segment about Jordan and Curry, not as adversaries, but as symbols of evolution, of how the sport grows, of how generational respect works when ego gets out of the way. There is a final clip from the documentary. Jordan and Curry, sitting together, talking, laughing, and Jordan says something that sums it all up. "You know what I learned from you, Steph?" "What?" "That legacy is not protecting your place at the top. It is making sure those who come after go even higher. And when I criticized you, I was trying to protect my legacy. But you showed me. My legacy is not threatened by your success. It is elevated by it." "How so?" "Because you did not copy me. You honored me by being completely different. And that proves that what I did was not create a formula. It was inspire creativity. And that is the greatest form of legacy." Curry smiles. "So in the end, we both won." "No," Jordan corrects. "Basketball won, because now young players know there is room for all styles, all paths, all dreams. And that is what true greatness creates." The screen goes black. Final words appear. Greatness recognizes greatness, even when it takes time. And so, the story of Michael Jordan and Steph Curry is no longer a story of generational conflict. It is a story of evolution, of humility, of how the truly great eventually recognize greatness, even when it does not look like theirs. It is a story of defense, of validation, and of how it is never, ever too late to say, "I was wrong about you, and you are great." Because in the end, legacy is not just what you conquer alone. It is who you elevate, who you validate, who you defend when they cannot defend themselves. And Jordan defended Curry, publicly, passionately, completely. And that changed everything. For Curry, for Jordan, and for all the generations that come after, learning that greatness has no one right way, just your way. And that has always been enough.